if you're a small business owner with an absolutely out of this world back tax problem, like you owe high five figures, six figures, multiple six figures, seven figures, you haven't filed your taxes in a long time, but the IRS is sending you an Eiffel Tower size stack of certified letters about your back tax issues. Your number one question might be, what can the IRS do to enforce against me to basically start taking my assets if I don't resolve this? And I make this video because as a self-employed person or a business owner, you might understand things like they can take your bank accounts, they can take your wages, which you probably don't have any if you're self-employed, but you might be like wondering, what exactly does this mean for me? What do I have at risk? And that's a really good question, because you have to understand, as a self-employed person, there's actually a lot more exposure that you have. They have so much power to take the things that are precious to you and disrupt your life on absolutely every level, even more so than they're probably interrupting it right now. So I want to make sure you understand what's at stake, particularly and respectfully, if you're one of those people who is kind of avoiding this problem and just hoping it will disappear. You need to be aware of what the exposure is you're leaving yourself to. So what can the IRS seize? Well, I mean, you know about the obvious ones, like your bank accounts. And if you are a business owner with a substantial problem, that's a very real risk. I've represented people who have come to me where they've had their bank accounts completely liquidated by the IRS. But for self-employed people, it's a lot worse. So you probably, as a self-employed person, have customers that you deal with. And maybe if you have, like if you're a consultant or something where you deal with larger customers, you might have a finite number of like really big customers you deal with, like consulting projects or things like that. Did you know that the IRS can actually go after your customers to take the money they owe you? So the IRS can go to your customers and say, hey, this guy owes $200,000 in back taxes. They'll tell them, by the way, exactly how much you owe in back taxes. So if you owe him any money, you got to send that money to me, the IRS, not to him. Could you imagine how embarrassing that would be to have your business relationships infiltrated and violated in that way? It happens. It happens all the time. And that's the price that there is to be paid for having a back tax problem. It's not just money. It's the embarrassment and it's the shame and the hurt to your business relationships. What would you think would happen if your customer base found out about your issue? I'm not judging you. I'm not. We're here to help. But imagine how tenuous and uncomfortable that might make people feel. That is the exposure you're leaving yourself to. They can go after your brokerage account. I had a client once in California that the state, and the IRS can do this too, but in this case, it was a state that took several $100,000 out of his brokerage account, which we got back, but that's what can happen. They can go after your retirement accounts. People think, like for bankruptcy, for example, those can be protected. The IRS, they don't care, man. They can go after that. Yeah, there's a couple more hoops to jump through. They can go after your home. I've represented clients where they threaten to do that, where they threaten to foreclose on the client's home to liquidate their tax balance. So the potential for ruin is there. Not only just financially, immediate financial problems like your bank account, but long-term repercussions to your business and your well-being, like going to your customer base, or maybe the money you've accumulated for retirement. So you have to understand that if your plan to tackle this problem is to keep on as you are, to hope the IRS won't notice you're not resolving this, to hope that some new administration or some change in the government is going to absolve you of this responsibility, I can only tell you from having done this for 10 years, and we're having represented hundreds of people, having talked with thousands of people, that approach doesn't work. There's only one approach that works. If you truly want peace of mind and freedom and security back and a path forward, there's only one approach I've ever seen work, and that is tackle this thing head on. Fight through the discomfort, fight through the pain, and do what you have to do. And stand up and be a person of repute, be a person of conviction, be a person you're proud to be, and do what's required even when it's uncomfortable, and tackle this problem and save yourself the headache now and get a path forward. That's the only way to stop all of this stuff from happening and to live life on your own terms. So if that's what you want, what I would invite you to do is you click above or below. There's going to be something somewhere you can apply for a tax strategy session with us. We'll sit down, we'll go over your situation, and we can get you a path forward. Our firm, we specialize exclusively in high dollar value back tax problems for self-employed people, business owners, exactly like you. That's why we've had clients who have owed over $1 million in back taxes. I've had clients, I had a client who owed $1.7 million, the IRS threatening to padlock their business, and we got them a path forward, kept it from getting worse. So that's the kind of work we do. If you're serious about this, if you truly want to invoke change in your life, it's just a matter of finding the right mechanism and the right person to trust. I would invite you to click. Let's keep you protected. Let's get you a path forward out of this. I'll see you on the other side.